The Galactic Summit on Arcturus Prime was the most prestigious diplomatic event in known space. Representatives from 1,000 worlds gathered in the crystalline halls, their scales, feathers, and exoskeletons gleaming under artificial suns. Among them walked Emperor Vorthax the Magnificent, supreme ruler of the Dragon Imperium, his crimson scales catching light like liquid rubies. The dragons were ancient. They had conquered stars when humanity still huddled in caves. Their empire spanned 3 spiral arms, and their military might was unquestioned. Vorthax himself had ruled for 4 centuries, and his pride matched his power. "Your Majesty," his advisor Kelthron whispered, "the human delegation requests an audience." Vorthax snorted, smoke curling from his nostrils. Humans. The newcomers who stumbled into space barely 2 centuries ago. What could they possibly offer us? But protocol demanded courtesy, so he agreed. The summit's grand restaurant was neutral ground, where species mingled over exotic cuisines. Vorthax had brought his youngest hatchling, Taraxis, hoping to teach him diplomacy. But Taraxis was different from other dragon children. Born with malformed wings and weak legs, he struggled where others soared. The imperial physicians had done what they could, but some things even dragon science couldn't fix. The restaurant's staff included beings from dozens of worlds, but Vorthax noticed the human servers immediately. They moved with peculiar efficiency, balancing trays that would challenge species with 4 arms. One in particular caught his eye, a young woman with auburn hair tied back, wearing the simple uniform of service staff. Her name tag read Emily Parker. Taraxis sat beside his father, struggling with his meal. The young dragon's claws couldn't grip the utensils properly, and frustration darkened his golden eyes. Other delegations pretended not to notice, but Vorthax felt the weight of their judgment. Dragons were supposed to be perfect, powerful, supreme. "Father," Taraxis whispered, his voice thick with shame, "I want to go." Before Vorthax could respond, Emily appeared at their table. "Excuse me," she said, her voice gentle but confident. "I noticed your son might need a different setup. May I help?" Vorthax's first instinct was to refuse. Dragons didn't need help from humans. But something in her eyes, neither pity nor judgment, just simple kindness, made him pause. "Do what you can," he rumbled. Emily disappeared and returned moments later with a modified tray, specialized grips for utensils, and a cushion that helped Taraxis sit at a better angle. But more than that, she stayed. "My little brother has cerebral palsy," she explained, adjusting the setup. "These are tricks we learn together. Everyone deserves to eat with dignity." For the next hour, as diplomatic discussions droned on around them, Vorthax watched something extraordinary. Emily treated Taraxis not as a disabled prince or a diplomatic inconvenience, but as a child who needed help. She showed him how to use the adapted tools, praised his efforts without condescension, and even made him laugh with stories about her brother's adventures. When Taraxis accidentally knocked over his drink, other servers rushed to clean it with barely concealed annoyance. Emily simply smiled and said, "Happens to me all the time. Once I spilled soup on an ambassador from Rigel. That was a day." The young dragon's shoulders, which had been hunched with shame, slowly straightened. But the moment that changed everything came when the meal ended. Taraxis, exhausted from the effort of eating and socializing, couldn't walk back to the diplomatic quarters. Imperial guards stepped forward to carry him, but Vorthax saw his son's face flush with humiliation. "May I?" Emily asked, already kneeling down. Before anyone could object, she gently lifted the young dragon, who, despite being small for his kind, still weighed nearly 80 pounds, and cradled him against her shoulder. Taraxis, shocked, went completely still. "You're not too heavy," Emily assured him. "My brother's about your size, and I carry him all the time. Sometimes everybody needs a lift." The restaurant fell silent. A human, a member of the youngest, weakest species in the summit, was carrying a dragon prince. It should have been an insult. It should have been scandalous. Instead, Taraxis wrapped his small arms around Emily's neck and, for the first time in months, smiled. Vorthax followed as Emily carried his son through the crystalline halls. Other delegates stared, but she walked with her head high, chatting with Taraxis about Earth, about her brother, about how difference wasn't deficiency. When they reached the Imperial quarters, Emily gently set Taraxis down. "You did great today," she told him. "Be proud of yourself." After she left, Taraxis looked up at his father with shining eyes. "Father, why don't we have people like her in the Imperium?" That question haunted Vorthax through the night. His empire was built on strength, on perfection, on dominance. Dragons who couldn't fly were hidden away. Weakness was shameful. They had conquered 1,000 worlds but couldn't show compassion to their own children. Humans, the species they had dismissed as primitive, had something the dragons had lost in their millennia of power. They remembered how to care for those who struggled. The next day, Vorthax did something unprecedented. He requested a private meeting with the human delegation. "We wish to establish an exchange program," he announced. "We have much to teach humanity about technology, about warfare, about empire. But you have something we need to learn. You remember that strength isn't just about power. It's about lifting those who fall." He paused, thinking of Emily carrying his son without hesitation, without judgment. "Teach us how to be kind," the Dragon Emperor said. "Teach us how to see value in every life, not just the perfect ones." The human ambassador, James Mitchell, smiled. "Your Majesty, we'd be honored. Though I think you've already learned the most important lesson." "What's that?" "That asking for help isn't weakness. It's wisdom." That evening, Vorthax found Emily before she left for Earth. "You changed my son's life today," he said. "And mine. The Imperium will remember what you showed us." Emily blushed. "I just did what anyone should do, Your Majesty." "No," Vorthax corrected gently. "You did what dragons forgot how to do. You saw someone struggling and helped without hesitation. That's not weakness. That's the strongest thing in the universe." As Emily's transport lifted off, Taraxis waved from the observation deck, his smile bright as a star. And Vorthax knew that his empire, ancient and mighty as it was about to learn the greatest lesson of all from the youngest species in space. Sometimes the mightiest strength is simply knowing how to carry someone who can't walk alone.